All right. Well, after the interview with the president, we've got lots to talk to Dana Loesch, who joins us right now from Dallas, I believe. Dana, the president talked, our lead story was the big story, and that is Admiral Ronny Jackson has thrown in the towel. He will not go through the confirmation process to be the VA head after these 2 pages of unsubstantiated allegations came to light via the Senate Democrats. What's your reaction?
Well, and good morning, and thank you all for having me this morning. Yeah, I mean, at what point did they know about this where it concerned Ronny Jackson? Apparently, it wasn't troubling or concerning enough for them to do anything about it when he was serving on staff for former President Barack Obama. But now suddenly a new president is in the White House, and they have to, I guess, make up for looking the other way all of this time. I mean, that really reflects poorly on the character of the previous administration, if only now they suddenly have an objection over this individual who served with the previous president. I mean, I think that's what the bigger question is. I mean, this administration showed that if there's a problem, I mean, they're going to handle it. But I mean, this also, you know, you mentioned unsubstantiated allegations. That's all that we've ever seen Democrats have, unsubstantiated allegations. And I'll remind everyone, we were all promised weeping and gnashing of teeth. We were promised that Trump and Putin were basically the same person. We were promised that we were all going to die from tax reform and net neutrality. Yet none of these things have happened. So I've yet to see anything substantiated. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, the president said there were obstructionists that were trying to discredit Ronny Jackson's reputation, and I wish almost that he had stuck it out just to show them that he's not going to cave.
Right.
Kanye, he stuck it out. Candace Owens has stuck it out. And this is what the president says about Senator Tester in Montana, who has come out with all these allegations against Ronny Jackson and the reason Ronny Jackson had to step down or decided to withdraw his name. Listen to the president.
Doc Ronny, you know, we call him Doc Ronny, we call him Admiral Ronny. He's an admiral, highly respected, a real leader. And I watched what John Tester of Montana, a state that I won by like over 20 points, you know, really, they love me and I love them. And I want to tell you that John Tester, I think this is going to cause him a lot of problems in his state. He took a man who was just an incredible man, respected by President Obama, gave him his highest rating. You saw what President Obama said. Yep. President Bush, he was the doctor to President Bush, to President Obama and the family. He's been my doctor, and he runs a fantastic operation. You know, they have many doctors, and they run a fantastic operation. And honestly, I said it to him. He didn't come to me. I said, you know, Doc, you run a great operation. How do you think you do at the VA? Now, we can talk about experience, but the VA, when you think about 13 million people, sure, you could take the head of the biggest hospital corporation of the world, and it's peanuts compared to the VA. So nobody has experience. You know, it's a big monster.
One thing he did say, Dana, was he does have a name in mind who the next person would be that he would nominate. Sounds like they're from politics, because that was the problem. You know, so many people said, well, you know, he hasn't been in politics. He hasn't run anything big. So Jackson's out and the new person is coming up.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing who this new individual is. But honestly, I still maintain that former President Obama didn't have a problem with Ronny Jackson. So why should President Trump have a problem with Ronny Jackson? Maybe Democrats can explain that one to us.
All right. Also, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about this case over in Great Britain. Alfie Evans, the little boy who is clinging to life. The courts over there said that the National Health Service could disconnect him from any sort of oxygen. He was expected to die immediately. But he didn't. And his parents have been in the room giving him mouth-to-mouth to keep him alive. They simply wanted the opportunity to be able to take this little boy to Italy, where they would care for him. But the National Health Service there said no.
This story breaks my heart, and you see your kids and everybody else's kids, and so I see my boys in this little boy, and it's amazing that you have a tale of two Kates. You have the Duchess of Cambridge, who just the other day just welcomed a baby boy, and then you have this mom, Kate James, who has a toddler who is in Alder Hey Hospital, and they have very different stories. Can you imagine if this was the Duchess of Cambridge's son? I think the outcome would be very different. There's two things involved here. First off, people in Britain are not free. They're subjects. subjects. So, and when you are a subject, you lose all autonomy. These parents are not even, they want to have their son transferred to an Italian hospital, the Vatican Children's Hospital. It's already covered by private donations. It costs the NHS nothing but pride. This is all about ego for the socialist healthcare system in Britain. And it is absolutely monstrous that a country could murder a child as opposed to allowing their parents, no expense to NHS, to take this child somewhere else to receive treatment. And they even were blocking, with using apparently security in the room, they were blocking the parents from giving this child, once he was pulled from his ventilator, giving him any kind of nourishment or water whatsoever. Doctors said that he was going to die the moment the ventilator was removed. And they were wrong. And they've been wrong about a lot of things, and they're wrong about how they're treating this family, or how they're treating this family.
Why wouldn't they give this kid a shot? You look at these images and it breaks your heart. Even if you're not a parent, I cannot imagine. I have a 2-year-old. That's how old this toddler is. Why wouldn't they give him a chance?
What's going on in Britain is what we had before the current administration took office. Because remember, President Trump rolled back a number of elements that, with regards to Obamacare, including that Independent Payment Advisory Board, that IPAB board, which is very similar to what Britain has, where you have a bunch of unelected bureaucrats who determine whether or not your life is worthy of treatment. We were so close, and I hope everyone realizes this, we were so close to having this here in the United States. But if right now, if Britain allows this child to go elsewhere, it's egg on their face, and then they're going to have to explain to other parents and other family members why they can't do the same with their children and their loved ones. This is monstrous. This country is committing murder. I hope the Pope gets involved. I hope the Queen says something to the petition, because if they kill this child, the sun has set on the Empire of Britain completely.
Dana Loesch, we look forward to hearing more from you on the radio. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.